The whisper started softly, then grew to a roar that echoed to the gilded halls of power. Prince William, the future king, had spoken a truth that rippled like a stone cast into still waters. Archie and Lilibet, his brother's children, would know no royal titles under his reign. A hush fell over the grand tapestry of the House of Windsor. Meghan Markle, across the ocean, felt the blow like a physical weight, a tear in the fabric of her hopes. The news, stark and unwavering, shook the very foundations of Buckingham Palace, casting a long shadow over the family's future. William's words were clear, a decree etched in the annals of royalty. No His or Her Royal Highness, no princely names for Archie and Lilibet. It was framed as a stride towards modernity, a pruning of the royal tree to preserve its core. Yet, for Meghan, it was a deeply personal cut. They say tears fell that day, unseen by the watching world. Within the palace walls, a chill descended. Courtiers exchanged worried glances, the weight of the announcement settling like dust. For Harry and Meghan, it was a stark confirmation of their children's place outside the traditional royal narrative. Beyond the palace gates, voices rose in a chorus of reaction. Some lauded William's vision, a focused future for the crown. Others cried foul, a harsh rejection of kin, perhaps tinged with old wounds. This moment marked a shift, a subtle change in the currents of royal power. Though many anticipated such moves from King Charles, it was William who took the lead, his intentions for the monarchy's shape now undeniably clear. His message spoke of a smaller circle, those dedicated to duty, implying that those beyond would relinquish the mantle of royal rank. Tradition held that the children of a prince, like Archie and Lilibet, were entitled to such honors. But William's gaze was fixed forward, envisioning a more concentrated lineage of service. This vision, however, carried a sharp edge of personal consequence. For Harry and Meghan, who had sought a different path, it was a painful echo, their children forever on the periphery of the formal royal story. In essence, William's decision, bold and divisive, painted a picture of a monarchy striving for modern relevance while clinging to its essence. It stirred fierce debate, laid bare family tensions, and hinted at a future royal structure yet to be fully revealed. The bond between the brothers, once seemingly unbreakable, now felt frayed, perhaps beyond repair. Harry, they say, was a storm of emotions, anger warring with reluctant understanding. Whispers from close circles suggested it wasn't a complete surprise. William's leanings toward a more modern monarchy had become increasingly apparent. Yet, to see his own nephews and niece officially excluded was a bitter draught to swallow. The world's media descended, dissecting every nuance. Analysts debated the political chess moves. Historians pondered the long-term family implications. Some saw a strategic tightening of William's grip on the royal brand. Others, a pragmatic paring down to preserve the monarchy's image in a world wary of privilege. Social media crackled with opposing views. Supporters of Meghan and Harry decried the decision as a spiteful act, not reform. Loyalists championed William, arguing for the monarchy's need to adapt. The hashtag William Reform trended, a digital battleground of tradition versus change. Within the palace, the machinery whirred, preparing to navigate the public storm. Briefings were held, strategies discussed. Charles, the seasoned diplomat, remained publicly silent, letting William's statement stand. Yet, it was murmured that privately he supported his son's stance, preferring to let William lead this new direction. Queen Camilla, they say, offered a listening ear to both sides, understanding Meghan's pain while respecting William's resolve. The older guard, like Princess Anne and Prince Edward, maintained a quiet dignity, though whispers suggested a quiet agreement with William's pragmatic approach, a step long considered in theory, now boldly enacted. The timing felt significant, arriving amidst renewed public scrutiny of the monarchy's place in contemporary Britain. William's move sent a clear signal: evolve or fade. For Meghan, it confirmed a deep-seated fear. Despite her efforts, her children would always stand apart. The rejection stung, sharpened by the knowledge that their move towards independence might have inadvertently widened this divide. From William's perspective, it wasn't about personal animosity, but the preservation of the institution he was destined to lead. He believed survival lay in shedding what he saw as outdated excess. Whether Archie and Lilibet would one day understand his rationale remained an open question. But the decision itself was a turning point, not just for the family, but for the public perception of royalty in the 21st century. This was a declaration of intent. William's reign would not merely continue tradition, but redefine its very essence. In this new era, not every royal birth guaranteed a title, not every descendant the expected grandeur. For Archie and Lilibet, their royal blood would be a heritage without privilege, shaped by an uncle's vision and a father's quiet sorrow. The consequences, like ripples in a pond, continued to spread. Both the monarchy and the Sussex family faced a future where titles no longer solely define worth. Actions, it seemed, would speak louder. Royal titles for centuries had been the currency of power, legitimacy, and standing within the intricate hierarchy of the monarchy. To truly grasp the weight of William's choice, one needed to understand the deep historical roots of these honors. From the feudal era, through upheavals and societal shifts, they had remained central to British nobility. Once, land and title were intertwined, markers not just of rank, but instruments of governance. Monarchs appointed nobles, dukes, earls, barons, to oversee territories, collect taxes, enforce their will. Loyalty and military support were the price, a balance of power between crown and noble. As monarchies evolved, the direct link to land faded, titles becoming more ceremonial, yet still bestowing significant social weight and influence. King George V, in 1917, formalized the granting of royal styles and titles to the sovereign's children and their male-line descendants. But William's decision to withhold titles from Archie and Lilibet signaled a departure, an emphasis on a modern, streamlined monarchy focused on duty over automatic privilege. This echoed historical adjustments, like during World War I when the royal house was renamed and titles limited to reinforce British identity. This withholding suggested a move away from birthright privilege, aiming for a more relevant, sustainable future for the crown. Prince William's choice was a deliberate act of modernization, a response to a world increasingly questioning inherited privilege. Though Archie and Lilibet would lack formal royal titles, their place in the line of succession, 6th and 7th, remained. An unprecedented situation, heirs to the throne without the traditional titles and ceremonial roles. A scenario likely to spark future legal and constitutional debates. This marked a significant break, the first time a future monarch openly chose to withhold such honors from his own bloodline. Controversial, perhaps causing family rifts, yet undeniably reflecting William's commitment to reform. The implications were expected to resonate for generations, prompting whispers about other branches of the family and the precedents set for future heirs. For Archie and Lilibet, their royal status would forever be defined by this singular decision. William emphasized that this was not born of animosity, but a necessity to safeguard the monarchy's relevance in an era where public approval held sway alongside lineage. His vision was forward-looking, contrasting with his father's more transitional reign. From a young age, shaped by his mother Diana's empathy, William yearned to modernize while preserving core values. A key part of his strategy, streamlining, addressing long-standing criticisms of the monarchy's size and financial burden. Many held titles without substantial public roles, drawing increasing scrutiny. By withholding titles from Archie and Lilibet, William aimed to reduce the public footprint, aligning it more with contemporary expectations, a move not without precedent, seen in other European monarchies like Sweden. Beyond downsizing, William sought to redefine the monarchy's role, bridging the gap between privilege and the everyday lives of ordinary Britons. His goal, to make the crown more relatable, more aligned with modern values. The full impact of this decision would unfold over time, a bold gamble on the monarchy's future, aiming for a leaner, stronger institution resonating with the 21st century. A defining moment when Prince William reimagined what it meant to be royal. Prince William aimed to bridge the gap through public service, environmental responsibility, and mental health advocacy, issues echoing with the British people. His vision, a transformation from a symbol of the past to a dynamic force for social good. Central to this was transparency. Throughout his public life, he had emphasized openness and accountability, evident in his charitable work through the Royal Foundation. Initiatives like Heads Together, breaking the stigma around mental health, alongside his dedication to conservation, reflected his belief that the royal family should not just champion change, but actively engage in it. The choice regarding Archie and Lilibet aligned with this philosophy. William viewed the monarchy as an institution that should not extend privileges to distant relatives not contributing to its mission. By limiting titled royals performing official duties, he shaped a more agile, publicly accountable family, a move designed not just to respond to public opinion, but to safeguard against increasing demands for reform. However, William's approach had its critics. Some saw it as overly severe, especially towards Meghan and Harry, who had already faced considerable challenges. Others interpreted it as a political maneuver to consolidate power, distancing the monarchy from perceived threats. And some, a personal vendetta masked as modernization, severing ties with the outspoken Sussexes. Supporters highlighted William's long-standing dedication to reform, even before marrying Catherine, advocating for reduced spending and community-driven projects. Their marriage reinforced this direction, emphasizing active participation over mere figureheading. For William, the monarchy's future was about more than survival. It was about relevance. He recognized the need to evolve in a rapidly changing social and political landscape, or risk obsolescence. His vision moved away from hereditary privilege towards respect earned through genuine public service. This was why the exclusion of Archie and Lilibet was more than a family matter. It was a clear statement of intent. Moreover, William's decision represented a strategic realignment of royal responsibilities. Fewer active royals meant a more focused and impactful public engagement. The logic was straightforward. Fewer obligations, allowing deeper dedication to communities and causes. This concentrated effort aimed to restore public trust, ensuring each royal carried significant responsibility and influence. The implications extended beyond the Sussex children. They fully realized it could lead to a reassessment of other extended family members' roles. Figures like Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, and Prince Edward's children. William's goal to streamline could result in a smaller, more strategically positioned institution. Financial pragmatism also underpinned William's approach. With public scrutiny of spending high, he was keenly aware of the royal family's expenses. Limiting titles and consequently public funding for extended family addressed long-standing criticisms of extravagance, a move both symbolic and practical, positioning the monarchy as more cost-effective and accountable. As William advanced his plans, he did so with the backing of key figures. Catherine reportedly fully supported his vision of a more focused, impactful royal presence. Even Charles, initially seen as more traditional, had come to endorse his son's ambition for change, recognizing modernization as essential for longevity. The stakes were high. William's choice to redefine the monarchy through action, not just words, was a bold gamble that could determine the institution's survival in the decades ahead. For Archie and Lilibet, their exclusion marked the first public step in this profound transformation. For the monarchy, it signaled the dawn of a new era, one seeking not just to endure, but to thrive in a changing world. In a rapidly changing world, Prince William's vision was clear: a more streamlined, accountable, and mission-driven monarchy, shedding outdated traditions. His approach, pragmatic, responsive to public sentiment, guided by the firm resolve of a future king understanding the need to lead by example. Almost immediately, reports surfaced of Meghan Markle's reaction. Given her hopes for her children's full embrace into the royal family, many speculated on her feelings. But the reality of William's decision struck deeper than mere disappointment, a personal wound disrupting the life she and Harry had built in Montecito. Headlines spoke of betrayal, isolation, heartbreak, a mother's dreams for her children's royal recognition shattered. Despite the distance, Meghan had always envisioned Archie and Lilibet as part of the monarchy's legacy. Even with her own complicated experiences, she believed her children would eventually receive their due titles. The shock of Archie's birth without one had resonated, but hope remained for the future reigns of Charles or William. That hope was now extinguished. Friends described Meghan's initial reaction as disbelief, struggling to understand William's definitive decision so early in his path to the throne. He wasn't yet king. His statement felt premature, unnecessarily harsh. For Meghan, It went beyond titles. It was about legacy, identity. Denying Archie and Lilibet their royal status felt like severing them from their heritage, something she had always wanted them to know and embrace, even from afar. The emotional toll was profound. Privately, Meghan expressed deep hurt and confusion, questioning the motivations behind William's decision: political strategy or personal exclusion. She reflected on conversations with Harry about the importance of legacy, their desire for their children to understand their origins. To her, this felt like a rejection of that very legacy. In confidence with close friends, she felt her children were being unfairly punished for choices they had no part in, decisions made amidst the relentless media storm that had consumed their lives. Harry, though composed, shared her emotional response, supporting her as she grappled with the implications, recalling their shared dream for Archie and Lilibet, a bridge between royal tradition and modern life, understanding their place while enjoying freedom America. William's firm stance had shattered that vision. For Meghan, the heartbreak was intensified by memories of her own difficult entry into the royal family. Isolation, scrutiny, a persistent feeling of being an outsider. She had hoped her children would be spared such detachment, instead included, embraced, and respected as part of the royal bloodline, even if raised far from Buckingham Palace's traditions. William's decision, she feared, cemented their outsider status, perpetuating a legacy of exclusion she couldn't shield them from. Life in Montecito continued with an outward calm. Meghan was seen on her usual outings, smiling with practiced grace. Yet, those close to her knew the strain was real. Behind closed doors, the weight manifested in late-night conversations with Harry, quiet calls with trusted friends, moments of deep reflection. It wasn't just a loss of titles, but the symbolic severing of her children from their birthright. Meghan's circle rallied, offering unwavering support. Messages of solidarity poured in from allies worldwide, many publicly condemning William's decision, seen by some as pettiness disguised as modernization. The hashtag support Meghan and her children gained traction, thousands expressing sympathy for what many perceived as unjust exclusion. While public support offered a sense of solidarity, it did little to ease the private pain. It served as a reminder that she and Harry were not alone in their disappointment. Behind the scenes, their PR team worked to craft a narrative acknowledging the decision, while highlighting their ongoing dedication to service and independence. Every statement was carefully timed, worded to project resilience. In public, Meghan maintained composure, passionately discussing her charitable work. Yet, those close to her noticed the strain. Speculation grew about whether she and Harry would publicly address the issue, some anticipating a revealing interview. However, insiders revealed Meghan preferred silence, focusing on protecting her children from further media attention. Shielding Archie and Lilibet from the turmoil that had marked her own royal experience was paramount. Privately, Harry and Meghan carefully weighed their next steps. Friends suggested they were exploring alternative ways to honor their children's legacy, including philanthropic titles and American honors. Meghan, known for her resilience, was determined that Archie and Lilibet would grow up with strong self-worth, regardless of titles. To her, this wasn't an end, but an opportunity to redefine legacy beyond traditional boundaries. Despite her outward strength, the wound remained fresh. Meghan's heartbreak extended beyond the loss of royal titles. It was about belonging, the future she had envisioned for her children, a future now irrevocably altered. William's decision, though politically and institutionally motivated, struck at the core of her dreams for her family. The feeling of exclusion, of being perpetually outside the gates of acceptance, lingered. In the days that followed, Meghan's resolve grew stronger. Friends noted her renewed focus on charitable work, advocacy, future plans. For Meghan, the denial of royal titles was a challenge she intended to confront head-on. She believed Archie and Lilibet would grow up with dignity, pride, a legacy defined by character and action, not titles. Still, William's decision echoed in her heart, a reminder that the path she had chosen was difficult. Yet for Meghan, it was a journey worth taking, a quest to carve out a place for her children in a world that often seemed determined to keep them at arm's length. In this journey, she found a unique strength forged through heartbreak and hope. For Prince Harry, the announcement from his brother was more than a royal decree. It shook the very foundation of his family. William's decision to block Archie and Lilibet from royal titles wasn't merely about modernization. It was a clear line drawn, forcing Harry to confront the full weight of his separation from the monarchy. Caught between his royal birthright and the life he had chosen with Meghan in California, Harry found himself at a deeply personal and public crossroads. When the news broke, Harry's initial reaction was stunned silence, not disbelief, for he had long anticipated William's vision of a streamlined monarchy. Yet, the finality cut deeper than expected. For Harry, this was about more than titles or status. It was about identity, legacy, and the place his children would hold in the royal family story. He had always believed that despite stepping back from duties, Archie and Lilibet would remain connected to their heritage. William's decision shattered that belief, leaving his children in limbo, connected by blood, distanced by decree. Harry's thoughts drifted back to his childhood, the inseparable bond with William, sharing joy and grief under intense public scrutiny. Despite their differences and the growing divide, Harry had hoped family ties would transcend politics and tradition. But faced with William's stark vision, that hope now seemed fragile. Harry's feelings were a mix of naivety and vulnerability as he privately wrestled with the consequences. His conversations with Meghan were deep, filled with reflections on legacy and their sacrifices for independence. Meghan, ever the realist, focused on reshaping their children's identities beyond the royal shadow,